Here's some big news. The Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, everybody, has confirmed that inflation is going to continue to rise, and that's not good. Janet Yellen told senators this week that she expected inflation to remain high, and the administration would likely increase the 4% inflation forecast for this year in its budget proposal. During a Senate Finance Committee hearing, Yellen said that the United States was dealing with unacceptable levels of inflation, but that she hoped price hikes would soon begin to subside. U.S. Consumer Price Index inflation has been tracking about 8% in recent months, the highest readings in over 40 years, and well above the president's forecast for its 2023 year. Under the metric, the Core Personal Consumption Price Index has also begun to cool, and Yellen also added, "I do expect inflation to remain high, although I very much hope that it will be coming down now." Yellen has repeatedly rejected Republican assertions that inflation was being fueled by Biden's $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. And when asked about the high inflation rates, Yellen told reporters, "We're seeing high inflation in almost all of the developed countries around the world, and they have very, very different fiscal policies. So it can be the case that the bulk of the inflation that we're experiencing reflects the impact of the American Rescue Plan." The Biden administration is still pushing for a climate and social spending agenda, which would offer tax credits for clean energy technologies and reform prescription pricing. These are policies that Secretary Yellen argued would help lower expenses for American consumers wary of price hikes. Yellen has also repeated her views that inflation was being fueled by high energy and food prices caused by the crisis. Yellen added that both she and the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell both probably could have used a better term than transitory in describing inflation that they thought would fade away quickly. Biden, and now a few $1 trillion in stimulus money, has greatly helped people across the country. The U.S. government pumped more than $40 billion into New Jersey's economy through a $2 trillion stimulus package under the former president. And the unprecedented federal aid ignited a rapid economic recovery that kept residents spending during shutdowns and helped New Jersey to recover nearly all the jobs lost. The Garden State is now experiencing a surge in state tax revenues unlike any in modern history. The New Jersey Treasurer told lawmakers last week that her department expects the state to collect $50 billion before the fiscal year ends. Over the next 6 weeks, New Jersey lawmakers and the Murphy administration must decide what to do with all those extra billions of dollars and agree on a state budget before the new fiscal year begins July 1st. Folks, officials have confirmed that low-income households will be receiving about $1,500 this year. Manchin is being urged by President Biden and Chuck Schumer to reach a deal on the Build Back Better bill. Here's an update on this, everybody. The New Mexico governor has announced that $200 million in household relief is on its way to over 500,000 New Mexico taxpayers. Taxpayers who receive refunds through direct deposit are scheduled to receive at least $250 in relief in the next day.
Is the agency going to say sorry? It is more important to protect the babies of this country than to give huge compensation packages to your CEOs. Are you going to stand up to them?
Senator Sanders, we are standing up there. As I said, I'm not in a position to say whether criminal proceedings are underway or not.
Is that something in consideration?
I'm just not in a position to comment on.
Well, I would hope that manufacturers of baby formula, which is so terribly important to parents and obviously the babies, understand they cannot lie to the Food and Drug Administration, and I hope you are strong about that.
Well, Senators, you know I've worked on all sides of this. I've been inspected, and everyone understands when you lie to the FDA and you get caught, there's going to be big trouble.
Well, I hope there will be. Thank you.
Senator Collins.
Not only that dental care should be considered as health care in general. Somebody is suffering from poor dental care, we should take care of that person because it is health care. But there is no question that dental problems, oral problems, infections, etc., have an impact on our overall health. According to the VA, there are roughly 3.9 million veterans who have chronic diabetes and heart disease who are enrolled in the VA, 3.9 million. Most of the veterans diagnosed with diabetes were exposed to Agent Orange during their service in the Vietnam War. Furthermore, the overwhelming healthcare consensus is that poor oral health worsens the symptoms of diabetes and heart disease. So what that means in English is that you have veterans out there who are struggling with diabetes, struggling with heart disease, and their problem is exacerbated by poor dental health, poor oral health, and yet they can't get the dental care they need, which not only should be an end in itself, but also impacts their overall health. So, Mr. President, without going into great detail, I would say that providing dental care to veterans not only eases pain, not only addresses overall health care concerns, but it ends up being a very cost-effective approach. In a 2019 report to Congress on the cost of expanding dental care, something that I asked for, VA stated, and I quote, "The provision of dental services could result in some reduction in total health care costs. Neglecting oral health can contribute to health problems including bacterial pneumonia, cardiovascular disease, and oral cancer," end quote. In other words, when you treat oral problems, you are treating overall health issues, and you can keep people healthier and not have to expend a whole lot of money dealing with the health problems of those veterans. And during a VA briefing earlier this month, VA's Office of Dentistry stated unequivocally that, quote, "Dental care is essential to overall health care," end quote, while simultaneously advocating to maintain VA's dental eligibility status quo. Bottom line is that not complicated. Dental care is health care. By ignoring dental care, we cause other health care problems, and we increase expenses to the VA. So those are the 4 amendments, and I hope the Senate will give them serious consideration. And with that, Mr. President, I yield the floor.
Arizona, Mr. Schweikert to inquire.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Madam Secretary, and this is always tough when we're trying to do this in, 3.5-minute increments. Some of my fellow members have already said or asked, so I want to take us slightly different. And this probably won't be in your notes. Inflationary environment. We have a number of economists now who actually believe it has grown to be much more structural at a number of levels and beyond the supply chain portion calculation. If it's true that we're in a higher inflationary environment for 3 years, 5 years, to the end of the decade, we're working on a math project right now, what it does to particularly retirees, to the working poor, and the distortive effect, particularly when you start to look at our formula on Medicare co-payments, the fact the Medicare Trust Fund, even though we got a semi-positive actuarial report,